what do you think of the Russian Revolution now? What do you think?
I think it was an extraordinary achievement to turn the world upside down in quite a comprehensive way that they did. And to hang on to it for so long, even though it was changing under them, and became ultimately the opposite of what it may have set out to be. It nevertheless acted as a bulwark and a defence, a space of defence against the capitalist West, without question. And I learned very quickly that one had to defend the thing that one didn't actually embrace. So much of what the Russian Revolution became was indefensible in my view. Nevertheless, it was the only thing we had to keep America from taking all of us into its maw. It also helped me to focus on a key concept in my own life, in my own work, which is revolution itself. It's a much bigger concept than the Russian Revolution. And it takes you back to other revolutions, revolutions other than the Russian one. So for all sorts of reasons, the Russian Revolution was key.
Somebody mentioned before we started that it's also the 40th anniversary of the assassination of Che Guevara this week. It was
today.
Revolutionary today. Yeah, it was another of the revolutions that. When did you get the idea that you were going to write a screenplay about this event? When did you say that's going to be written by me? That's the project I want to be part of. Was there others that were doing it?
Lady got the idea for a piece about Jack Reed, whom he felt he most closely resembled.
Who, Warren Beatty?
Yeah. Both as a sexual figure, a sexual athlete, and as an artist, and as a political being. And 10 years before he met me, he had been to a guy called Paddy Chayefsky, a pretty fine television writer, American, and asked him if he wanted to do it. And he did, but he didn't come up with a decent enough treatment. So he was written over. In any case, basically, in the early 70s, basically could not raise the money for that project. And then he went to Lillian Hellman, very talented writer, and she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to work with Warren. Anybody who knows him, you can understand that.
You know Warren Beatty.
When he came to me, I was just profiling America, which I mean, if you don't do something in America, they don't know who you are. If you do something in America that year, they might be interested. I met him at a wedding party in Connecticut. We talked about John Reed a little, but I didn't know why. And then he rang me and said, "Will you be interested in doing a movie?" And I said, "I'll let you know." And it took about 6 months to make. I had other work, and it took about 6 months to make my mind up. Did I want to work with this guy because the word on him was really bad. But on the other hand, his reputation for making films of quality was unrivaled. Really, I mean, as an independent producer, he was remarkable. But a megalomaniac, a bitter and ruthless man.
Warren Beatty. You're writing this down? So what year was this? So Warren Beatty comes to you and asks you to write a for a film that he wants to do with John Reed, 1977.
And he had a step outline, about 22 steps that he thought would be it. I said, "Well, I'll take a look at that, and if I like it, I'll go with it, and if I don't, I'll..." Anyway, I embellished it, and I enlarged it, and I rerouted it, and finally I got a first draft together. And he liked it, and I went off to Hollywood to chew the fat with his mates. Came back and said, "We've got to start again." I have been persuaded that we can't do a movie that's going to cost $45 million. This is in the late 70s, which is basically dedicated to the life of a communist who went to his grave still a communist. Now, we could have a play about him, but he would have to be the villain. He can't be the hero. So he said, I want to start a second draft, and I want to co-write it with you. So I agreed, and we set off, and we got to the end of the second draft. And we got a row, a very, very big and brutal row. And the honeymoon's over, and I left the show.
What was the nature? You were co-writing it with him. How does that work? You write a draft, send it back to him. He's corrected it, sends it back to you. And you need another version. Tell us a bit about how he co-wrote the film with all of you.
Well, in simple terms, we sat in a room together, 12 hours a day sometimes, in New York, through the summer of 1978, with a typewriter and an old pad.
Some people pay a lot of money for that.
And it got so tense, it got so ugly, that he began to have dreams about me. And one of the recurring dreams was that we would go through to what they call the green light. We would get a script, we would get $45 million. We would get the cast that we wanted, he would be allowed to direct it. He had all this in his mind, he was dreaming of it. And then on the first or second day of the shoot, in the studio, with about $4 or $5 million worth of camera, I walked onto the set while he was directing something, picked the camera up and smashed it over his head. That was his dream. And he used to come in every morning and he used to pick 2 hotel chairs, each of which weighed about half a ton. And he used to do 12 of these. And he's a big guy.
Sure, this isn't Schwarzenegger, this is
This is Warren, yeah. It's really just showing you how strong he was, how powerful he was. So it was pretty unpleasant. I don't really want to talk about that.
Let's talk about
Yeah. Or indeed, let's talk about the film that he made.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the film that made Reds. And by the way, Chris, can you put up the lights? I want to have a show of hands here. I want people to show me who's actually seen Reds. Put up your hand if you've seen the film Reds. And Chris, do us a favour, put up the lights so I can see the hands. Is Chris in there? That's better, right. Have they seen Reds on behalf of the audience, right? Well, we thought of that for the half that haven't seen Reds, and you know how we're having a raffle later on. The DVD of Reds is one of the raffle prizes,
brilliant!
And we're going to get Trevor to autograph it, so whoever wins the raffle of Reds will get Trevor Griffiths' autograph as well. But